Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar, Section Officer Training on the NACE Section Operating Manual, presented by Drew Heiko at LTK Engineering Services. My name is Cindy Tracy, Section Support Specialist for NACE International. In this webinar, participants will learn about the operation of the current Section Operating Manual. Before we begin, we want to cover a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can click on the Q&A at the bottom and submit your question. These questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. We will try and respond to all questions, but if a fuller answer is needed or we run out of time, it will be answered later via email. An on-demand version of the webinar will be available tomorrow. Without further delay, I would like to introduce Drew Heiko, Corrosion Control Discipline Lead at LTK Engineering Services. Drew received a Bachelor of Science in Civic Engineering degree from the University of Delaware in 1995. He has been a member of NACE International since 1997 and has served on the section board for the NACE Philadelphia section and the Eastern Area Board. He is currently serving on the Area Coordination Committee, Board of Directors, and he is also a member of STG 05, TEG 024X, TGC 017, TGC 472. Drew was awarded the NACE Distinguished Service Award in 2016. Welcome, Drew.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, everyone, for attending this training here. As you know, it's on the section operating manual. To begin with, the current manual for the sections is dated October 21st, 2016. So if you have been looking at a different manual version, it's not the correct one. This is the one you want to find. This is the most up-to-date, and this is the one we will be discussing today. To start off, what is a section? Sections provide forums for the presentation and discussion of corrosion technology. Sections provide fellowship for members involved in the prevention and control of corrosion. Sections are one of the primary functions within NACE for contacting prospective members to explain and illustrate the benefits of membership and the many association activities. There are 4 types of member groups, and we'll discuss each of these as we go here. As far as the sections, there's the NACE section as a separate legal entity, NACE parent component section, NACE section hosted by a third party, and communities. The NACE parent component section is formally recognized NACE sections within the United States, which are legally incorporated as a component of NACE International and recognized by the United States Internal Revenue Service. These are US-based only. NACE sections as separate legal entities. These are formally recognized NACE groups outside of the United States, which are legally recognized as a separate entity in its home country. These sections are not legally incorporated as a component of NACE International or recognized by the U.S. Internal Revenue Service. The third group are NACE sections hosted by a third party. These are formally recognized by NACE outside of the U.S., but they are incapable of being legally recognized as a separate entity in their home country, but they have identified an existing, legally incorporated and recognized organization to host its activities and financial transactions. This could be a business, this could be a government agency. These sections are not legally incorporated as a component of the NACE International or recognized by the U.S. IRS. The last group are the member communities. NACE member communities shall be granted the opportunity to gather and associate as part of NACE International, but they shall not have the opportunity to administer or host the association's programs. They must follow the separate NACE member community operating guidelines. They may not have bank accounts or host events with financial transactions. Membership of the sections. Section members, or all members, that are volunteers. An individual who performs a service for the section without compensation, remuneration, or any other consideration. They shall not be considered an employee or independent contractor of NACE, and they shall not receive wages, salary, benefits, or any other compensation. The makeup of each section's governing board is as follows. There's a trustee, a chair, a vice chair, a secretary, and a treasurer. Through a majority approval of the voting members of the governing board, the position of secretary-treasurer may be fulfilled by one individual or may be designated to be filled by two individuals serving in each role separately. As part of the revised manual, headquarters has to be made aware of whether each section will have one secretary-treasurer or two in the position. The officer positions are as shown. The trustee serves 1 3-year term. The chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer all serve 1-year terms. There's also activity chairs, which we'll get into in a minute. And they, again, are 1-year terms, and they may not serve more than 3 consecutive terms. As far as the governing positions, the trustee, chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer all get a vote, as these are elected positions. The activity chairs can either be elected or appointed. If the chairs are appointed, they are non-voting members. These are the activity chairs that are defined in the section's operating manual. There's membership, career development, awards, arrangements, program, publicity, and webmaster. The duties of all section officers and chairs are defined in Appendix A of the section's operating manual. You can have all of these, none, some, whatever works best for your particular section. As we discussed previously, for activity chairs, all appointed activity chairs will be an ex officio member of the governing board without voting privileges. All elected activity chairs will have voting privileges. That's an option for each section to make depending on what works best. As far as nomination and election of section officers, it'll be a few revisions, and they're as follows. Qualifications of officers. You must be a member in good standing. You must belong to the section to which you are being elected. The trustee shall have company support, and the trustee should attend all area board of trustee meetings. The position of trustee requires travel, typically to the annual conference and the area conference. Any trustee who misses 2 consecutive meetings due to unexcused absences will be removed by the Board of Trustees. The process for section elections is shown here. The first step is to identify the candidates. The candidates can come from self-nomination or through the section's nominating committee. From there, the slate of officers goes to the area for approval. The area Board of Trustees will approve, resolve any potential conflicts prior to ballots being sent to the membership. Once the slate of officers is approved, it goes out to an open election process. The plan is to have electronic elections conducted through all NACE sections administered by NACE headquarters. A more detailed process will be provided once Appendix E of the section's operating manual is approved and added to the section's operating manual. There's currently an ad hoc committee working on this process. Again, a pilot program was done with 22 sections worldwide to pilot electronic elections. There's a meeting of the ad hoc scheduled for Monday, the 27th. From there, the presentation will go to the area coordinating committee. Once approved, it will go to the policy committee. From there, it'll go to the board of directors for final approval. The plan is to have all sections perform electronic elections during the next voting period next year. If there are vacancies of officer positions, if the office of chair becomes vacant, the vice chair may fulfill the remainder of the term. If the vice chair is unable to be chair, or if another position has a vacancy, they may be filled by a member of the section in good standing. The process for this is detailed in Section 8 of the operating manual. The vacancy may be appointed through a majority of the voting members of the governing board. One thing that was found during the review of the operating manual was there was no procedure for removal of section officers who are not performing their duties. This has since been rectified, and now Section 9.1 and 9.2 define the removal of section officers. Elected section officers may be removed from office for violations of any NACE bylaw, policy, or procedure, failure to perform the duties of office, or abandonment of the office. There are two ways that this may be done. The first is petitioned by the governing board. The section governing board may petition the area board of trustees for removal of an elected section officer through written notification signed by a majority of the section governing board. Only a simple majority is required for this. Therefore, if you have 5 voting members, then 3 of the 5 must sign the petition to be considered by the area board of trustees. The other option is a petition by membership. The section members may petition the area board of trustees for removal of an elected section officer through written notification signed by at least 10 section members in good standing. The area board of trustees will get either of these petitions, and they may take action to remove a section officer with a 2/3 vote of the voting members of the area board of trustees. This requires 2/3 of the eligible voters to approve the petition. For instance, if the board has 12 voting members, 8 must vote to approve the petition for it to pass. As the Board of Trustees typically only meet 2 times a year face-to-face, they have been given the ability to host a conference call and use written consent in order to evaluate any of these, as this need to be a faster turnaround than waiting the 6 months before the next face-to-face meeting. And this is again all defined in section 9.3.1 of the operating manual. Another major issue that was noted was issues of financial matters and reporting. In order for NACE International to keep its 501c3 not-for-profit status, there are certain procedures that need to be followed by each section. All sections are required to provide financial reporting. Failure to report section financials will result in the section being suspended. Section officers are requested from headquarters on a regular basis to provide this information. As far as dues, no dues shall be collected by a section from individuals or corporations as a condition of membership in a section. The only dues are to NACE International itself. Another change was the makeup of the Audit Committee. Between May 1st and June 1st, the trustee shall appoint an audit committee consisting of the treasurer and 3 members of the section that are not on the governing board. The audit committee approval is required prior to the treasurer submitting the audit reports to headquarters. Obviously, we just went through this a couple months back, so for the next go around, the audit committee will be required to have the treasurer and 3 non-board members in good standing. Section suspension and dissolution. For a section that remain in active status, they must hold at least 1 meeting of general membership per year. All elected positions of the section governing board shall be occupied. They must have signed the affiliation agreement. They must be operating in compliance with the affiliation agreement. That consists of submitting the financial information to headquarters as requested and following all operating manuals, policies, and bylaws of the association. They must host the annual nominations and elections per the Appendix E, which we discussed previously, which will be the electronic elections. And they must submit semi-annual trustee reports to the Area Board of Trustees. Suspended sections. NACE headquarters will be required to automatically designate a section as suspended and notify the respective Area Board of Trustees within 30 days of becoming aware of a section failing to maintain active status. Suspended sections may not administer any NACE programming, including education courses and conferences. They may not hold meetings. They may not promote themselves as a NACE section publicly, and this includes NACE brand and section logos. Therefore, if you have a suspended section, you cannot send an email out to your section members calling yourself whatever section you are. until resolution of said suspension. The reinstatement of a section. In order for a suspended section to be reinstated to active status, the section must resolve the reason for suspension and submit a written request to the Area Board of Trustees and NACE headquarters per the Area Operating Manual. Dissolution of a suspended section. NACE headquarters will be required to dissolve any section that remains suspended for 2 years or more. So what are some things that your NACE section can do as far as meeting, courses, and events? The objective of any NACE section activity to provide meetings and other activities for discussion of corrosion problems and their resolution. It's to emphasize the industrial and scientific communities as well as the general public the importance of corrosion prevention and control, and to promote the association as a medium for the exchange of corrosion information and technology. All activities must meet the mission of the association. As far as conferences and courses that your section can be involved with, there's the area conferences. These are established by SEAC, the Conferences and Exhibits Activity Committee at the NACE board level. Education courses. These are through the NACE Education Department. There is a NACE Education Section Agreement that can be utilized in order to help your section host any of particular NACE courses that are available. Joint sponsorship of activities. These require the approval of the association's chief executive officer. They may not co-sponsor events in another section's territory without written approval of the Area Board of Trustees. And NACE section logos and association names must follow the Policies and Procedures Manual. CEO approval is not needed when the meeting is co-sponsored with local sections of other professional societies with a related mission. This would be American Society of Materials, American Welding Society, your local corrosion coordinating committees, things such as that. If you're not sure, just contact Bob Chalker and he'll give you the response you're looking for. Once the section operating manual was approved, the hold on the formation of new sections was lifted. So again, new sections can now be created. The process goes as shown. It requires a petition of 10 members in good standing. Of these 10 members, they choose a governing board of officers. Again, that's the trustee, chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer positions. This petition is then sent to the area chairman. The area board of trustees will consider the petition. And again, this can be done fast-tracked instead of waiting for the face-to-face meeting. This can be done via conference call. Upon approval by the area board of trustees, a section affiliation agreement must be executed. Once the executed agreement is turned into headquarters, then the new section will be formed. Student sections. Student sections shall be sponsored by NACE section. The faculty advisor becomes the section trustee. Another option is called a regional student section, where there are several colleges or universities close together who would otherwise have insufficient members to form a student section. Then a regional student section may be formed. For example, in Philadelphia, Drexel, Penn, and the University of Sciences all border each other. If they wanted to get together to just have one regional student section, then that would be a good use of their time and effort. NACE actually has a ton of section resources that have not really gotten the word out. These resources are there to help sections with meetings, courses, speakers, topics, things such as that. There are online resources. Access to all operating manuals and policy documents are available. There are toolkits, which are guides to help section leaders. There's marketing templates. And these can all be found at nace.org/officers. You can also find these if you go through your particular NACE account. There's also NACE Connect, which is the online network. NACE Connect is an online collaborative community available for section officers to ask questions and gain information. This is also where the volunteer manager portal, that's what started this. And then we decided it's such an easy way to communicate that we would open it up and have other forums. As you can see up here, this actually shows the NACE section and area officers forum. You can log in through your NACE account and go see what you're interested in, and you sign up for it. I would recommend all section officers and area officers to be part of this, as it's a real easy way for NACE to get important information out quickly.